Hello friends, let us now learn some important points about acne vulgaris. So in the acne vulgaris, here you will see the presence of inflammation of pilosebaceous units is seen in acne vulgaris. If you see the pathogenesis, here this occurs due to the increased This occurs mainly due to if you see the pathogenesis, this occurs due to increased androgens or increase in interleukin 1 alpha activity or increase in linoleic acid. Whenever there is all these are present, this will cause hyperproliferation of keratinocytes in the ducts of sebaceous glands. So, this is the sebaceous gland. Okay, now because of the hyperproliferation of keratinocytes in the ducts of sebaceous gland, there is blockade of the duct occurs. So this is the sebaceous gland where you can see the blockade here. Blockade of this duct has occurred. Then because of the blockade, the sebum which is present, that has no outlet to go out, and as a result this is collected. So here you will see the collection of sebum here, right? And then this is the sebum which is collected. Then followed by there is increased propionibacterium will get proliferation is increased, and followed by this enzyme, this bacteria propionibacterium will now produce the enzyme which is lipase. So once the lipase is released, this lipase will convert the triglycerides to free fatty acids, thus resulting in inflammation. So this inflammation is nothing but acne vulgaris. So if you see the stages, the first stage is seborrhea, where there is increased, first stage is seborrhea followed by increased abnormal keratinization. This is seborrhea because of increased androgen and increased interleukin activity, abnormal keratinization. Then whenever the bacteria gets infected, there will be bacterial production followed by inflammation. So these are the different pathogenesis of acne vulgaris. Now we will see the aggravating factors of acne vulgaris. Aggravating factors include, we have hormonal factors which include premenstrual flare of acne. Then these include emotional stress, food, which is, it also includes high glycemic index like carbohydrates, milk, and dietary products are seen in, and dairy products, carbohydrates, milk, and dairy products, hot and humid climate, and external factors like oils. All these are the main aggravating factors. Now if you see the classification of acne, acne can be classified into 4 types. First, before that, we should know what comedone is. Comedone is called as closed comedone or open comedone. Closed comedone, see, at this stage, if you see here, there is formation of an abscess, bacterial product with pus. There will be bacteria present and the pus which is actually closed by an epithelium. That is called as comedone. So in the comedone, first this is the closed or white product, and here the epithelium is present. If epithelium is present, then we call it as closed comedone, where you see pus present underneath. Then which is white or white comedone. Then the second type is open comedone or black comedone. Here there is rupture of the skin occurs, and as a result the pus has been drained out and the rest of the skin is covered by keratin. So this is called as black comedone, which contains oxidized keratin on the top. Right. So if you see the classification of acne, the first one is comedone. Second, we have mainly papules are present. Third, there are mainly pustules are present. Third type is where you will see mainly the presence of pustules. And in the fourth stage, you will have mainly cysts, abscesses, and nodules are present in the fourth stage. That is the reason why we call this acne as nodulocystic acne. So let us now learn about the types of acne. So in the types of acne, we have different types of acne. First, starting from, we have neonatal acne, or also called as neonatal cephalic pustulosis. This neonatal acne or neonatal cephalic pustulosis, it is the most commonly seen in first 4 weeks of life. It occurs due to sensitivity of infants. This occurs due to sensitivity of infant sebaceous glands to maternal hormones. It occurs due to sensitivity of infant sebaceous glands to maternal hormones. So if you see, first and foremost, here there will be presence of facial papules. Pustules are seen on the erythematous base, and you will see no comedones are seen in neonatal acne. Then on the cheek, nasal bridge and are also seen. It is also seen on cheek and nasal bridge, forehead, chin, neck, and sometimes even the upper trunk is involved. Then we have the next type of acne called as infantile acne. Second type, which is infantile acne. This is seen in 6 weeks of age and it lasts longer. This includes comedones plus papules plus pustules are seen. So all these will progress to pitted scars. In infantile acne, always we should screen for androgenism. Then this is also seen in forehead and nose. Then the third type of acne is acne excoriae or Pickers acne. In acne excoriae and Pickers acne, the acne is squeezed and scratched. It is squeezed, scratched, and thus formation of scab and scar can occur. It is seen in adolescent girls and it is associated with anxiety, depression, and emotional issues also. That is acne excoriae or Pickers acne. Then we have the fourth type, which is tropical acne, also called as follicular acneiform eruption. This tropical acne or follicular acneiform eruption occurs mainly due to the extreme heat, or inflamed nodular cystic pustular eruptions are seen. These are inflamed nodular cystic pustular eruptions are seen. These are seen mainly on the back, buttocks, thigh, but face is mainly spared. It is most commonly seen in military personnel who are posted in tropics, furnace, and also in furnace workers we will see these tropical acne. Then we have the fifth type of acne, which is called as acneiform eruptions or steroid acne. In this acneiform eruptions or steroid acne, we will see acne like skin lesions, which is most commonly seen due to high steroid intake topically. This is also seen most commonly in the adolescent and adult age group. We see these acneiform eruptions or steroid acne. Here the lesions are similar in morphology. All the acne looks similar, so we call it as monomorphic acne, monomorphic lesions. So these are called monomorphic lesions. You will see these on chest, face, neck, back, and arms. Differential diagnosis is these like gram-negative folliculitis and melasthesia folliculitis are the differential diagnosis. Then the next type of acne is very important, which is called as conglobata acne. That is acne conglobata. This acne conglobata, here you will see sudden worsening of pustular acne. Okay, in acne conglobata, you will see presence of sudden worsening of pustular acne, and this acne conglobata is most commonly seen in age group between 18 to 30 years. This is associated with increased testosterone, anabolic steroids, or comedones. Here you will see presence of lesions like comedones, nodules, cysts, abscess, and even draining sinus tracts are also seen. So these acne conglobata will heal with scarring, and these are present on face, chest, and back. Now in this we also have this follicular occlusion tetrad. Okay, what is this follicular occlusion tetrad? It is actually a acne conglobata is one of the component of follicular occlusion tetrad, which include acne conglobata, hidradenitis suppurativa, It includes pilonidal sinus and also dissecting cellulitis of scalp. Then the last one more type of acne we have, that is the seventh type of acne, which is called as acne fulminans or acne maligna or acne febrile ulcerative acne. We have acne fulminans, acne maligna, acne febrile ulcerative acne. So this acne is actually a what do we say, this acne is actually very severe, it is a severe form of acne. It is also called as acne fulminata, acne maligna or acute febrile ulcerative acne. Here we will see presence of acne which is painful, ulcerative and hemorrhagic acne, and this is most commonly seen in males of around 13 to 22 years of age. Here you will see presence of acne conglobata. This acne conglobata, on whenever you treat it unsuccessfully, this acne conglobata on unsuccessful treatment, this can get converted to acne fulminans. Acne fulminans is formed due to unsuccessful treatment of acne conglobata. This acne fulminans is also associated with systemic symptoms like fever, arthritis, increased testosterone, bony lesions are also seen, and it also causes lymph node enlargement over the base of the neck occurs, and this causes inflexibility, leading to inflexibility of neck. It causes lymph node enlargement over the base of the neck, leading to inflexibility of neck. So if you see the treatment, here the main problem here is non-successful treatment. So here in this you will have to give the drug of choice for this acne fulminans is oral steroids. Along with that we can also give oral isotretinoins can be given. We also have topical or intralesional steroids can be given. Then oral antibiotics can be given. If these oral antibiotics are unsuccessful, then we can give tumor necrosis factor alpha inhibitors and immunosuppressants like azathioprine and dapsone can be given. Then if you see so this is about the acne fulminans. So one important thing is, if there are some triggering factors of this acne fulminans. If there is severe acne or in cases of anabolic steroids or in testosterone or with testosterone, if in these presence of this, if we give high doses of isotretinoin, then this can result in acne fulminans also. So severe acne, anabolic steroids or testosterone, with this if you give high dose of isotretinoin, then this forms acne fulminans, right? So this is about the acne fulminans. Now the next important type of acne is called as chloracne. Chloracne is acne like condition. It is not a true acne, it is acne like condition. Here you will see presence of comedones, pustules and cysts are seen. If there is exposure to aromatic halogenic compounds, you will find these. So these aromatic halogenic compounds are seen in electric conductors, insulators, insecticides, pesticides, herbicides and wood preservatives. So these chloracne are mainly found on the following sites. So whenever these all these are the risk factors of chloracne. So the sites are, these chloracne are found in cheeks, armpits, retroauricular and also groin area. So these are important points about the chloracne. Then after this, the next important type of acne is called as acne venenata. Acne venenata can occur at any age, and this acne venenata is actually a chemical induced acne where you will see it occurs in cosmetics, oils and also chlorinated hydrocarbons and coal tars. All these might result in this acne venenata. Cosmetics, oils, chlorinated hydrocarbons and coal tar can cause acne venenata. Then we have Fourier-Rosachart syndrome. Fourier-Rosachart syndrome. So this Fourier-Rosachart syndrome, it is actually a solar elastosis disorder. Here you will see presence of multiple open comedones are seen over the sun damaged areas of the skin. So these are mainly seen over the opening of the hair follicle, and also they are seen over the sebaceous glands. So they are seen over the opening of hair follicle and sebaceous glands. So these Fourier-Rosachart syndrome are also called as senile acne. Then the next type of acne is acne aestivalis. Acne aestivalis or Mallorca acne. So this is folliculocentric papules and pustules are seen in this acne aestivalis or Mallorca acne. These are actually seen in sun exposed areas. Then we have to learn about the associations of acne. Okay, so this is the folliculocentric papules or pustules. So these are present in the hair follicle. So this is acne aestivalis, which is present near the hair follicle, that too in the sun exposed areas. Now the next important thing is associations of acne. So in the associations of acne, there are certain types of named syndromes here. Number 1, we have Papa syndrome. In the Papa syndrome, we have pyogenic arthritis, pyoderma gangrenosum. This includes pyogenic arthritis, pyoderma gangrenosum and acne fulminans or conglobata are seen in Papa syndrome. Then we have Sappho syndrome. In Sappho syndrome, we have synovitis, acne, pustulosis, and this includes hyperostosis and osteitis are seen in Sappho syndrome. Synovitis, acne, pustulosis, hyperostosis and osteitis. Then we have Pash syndrome. In Pash syndrome, we have pyogenic gangrenoma, acne and suppurative hidradenitis. Pyogenic gangrenoma, acne, suppurative hidradenitis. Then we have Papash syndrome, which is Papa syndrome plus Pash syndrome. That means it has pyogenic arthritis, pyoderma gangrenosum. It includes pyogenic arthritis. Then we have pyoderma gangrenosum. Then we have acne, and then we have suppurative hidradenitis. So this is Papash syndrome. Then important thing is isotretinoin can cause flare of acne among these syndromes. So you should be very careful while using isotretinoin in these syndromes. Next, the next important thing is about the drug induced acne. So in the drug induced acne, we have monomorphic lesions are seen in the drug induced acne, which are most commonly seen on the trunk. If you see the drugs, they are seen in corticosteroids, androgens, anti-epileptics and anti-tubercular drugs and halogens. Drugs like lithium, OCPs, epithelial growth factor receptor inhibitors and antipsychotics, all these can cause drug induced acne. Then if you see the investigations, we have clinical investigations. First and foremost, clinical features are important and we should do wood lamp examination. In the wood lamp examination, you will see presence of orange red fluorescence to the comedones are seen. So the bacteria Propionibacterium acne will produce coproporphyrin 1. This coproporphyrin 1 will produce orange red fluorescence to the comedones. So if you see the treatment, we have topical treatment and systemic treatment. First, in the topical treatment, we can give retinoids is the treatment of choice. So we have topical treatment and systemic treatment. So first, in the topical treatment, the treatment of choice is retinoids. So these include tretinoin, adapalene, tazarotene are the types of retinoids. So these retinoids are if they were given for 2 to 4 weeks, they will cause erythema of skin, peeling of skin, and they also cause dryness. So these retinoids are actually avoided in low concentration cream formulations. So these are avoided with low concentration cream formulations, and they are given mainly on the every alternate night or every third night application, because if you use it for longer times, that will cause dryness and erythema of skin. So as a result, we give only alternate night or every third night application. Then gradually we increase the duration of the drug, and then these retinoids are actually given in microsphere formulations. Right. Next, the next drug which is given is a bactericidal drug, which is benzoyl peroxide. This benzoyl peroxide is a bactericidal drug which is which has anti-inflammatory action and also comidolytic action. It has anti-inflammatory action and comidolytic action. If you see the side effects include it causes bleaching of clothes and irritant dermatitis. Then the other drugs which are seen are which include clindamycin. This also includes nadifloxacin. Drugs like dapsone 5% can be given, and we have sodium sulfacetamide is given in 7.5% of sodium sulfacetamide, and sulfur preparation, that is 5%, azelaic acid in 10%, 15% and 20%, and salicylic acid are given. Then we have oral therapy. Oral therapy, if you see, first we give oral antibiotics can be given. These oral antibiotics are used only for 3 to 6 months to prevent resistance. So we can use drugs like doxycycline, limicycline, minocycline and azithromycin can be used. These are oral antibiotics. Then we should never combine oral antibiotics and topical antibiotics together. Never should you combine oral and topical antibiotics. So these oral antibiotics are only used for 3 to 6 months to prevent the resistance. In order to prevent resistance, you should use them only for 3 to 6 months. The most common side effect of doxycycline is photoonycholysis. Photoonycholysis is the most common side effect of doxycycline. The side effect of minocycline is it causes hyperpigmentation of skin and nails. And we also have melanonychia. Melanonychia are dark nails. That is melanonychia, dark nails, right? They are also seen due to minocycline. The other side effects like hepatitis, and on long term use it will precipitate gram-negative folliculitis also. Then the next important drug is oral retinoids. Oral retinoids, the most common oral retinoid which is used is isotretinoin, or 13-cis-retinoic acid. So this isotretinoin or 13-cis-retinoic acid is actually the drug of choice for severe or grade 4 or nodulocystic acne. So this is also the drug of choice for acne conglobata. So if you see the dose effect, you can give it in the dosage of 0.5 to 1 milligram per kg body weight. It is given maximum till a cumulative dose of 120 to 150 milligrams per kg is obtained. So if you see the side effects of oral retinoids include dryness of lips, most commonly hypertriglyceridemia, then hepatotoxicity, and also pseudotumor cerebri are seen. Then if you see, this oral retinoids are teratogenic, so these are avoided in pregnancy. So this teratogenicity stays for almost 1 month after stopping the drug. This teratogenicity will stay for 1 month after stopping the drug. So we should keep that in mind, that they should avoid getting pregnant even after 1 month after stopping the drug. Then these oral retinoids are avoided in depression because this will increase the suicidal tendencies. These oral retinoids are also avoided with tetracyclines and vitamin A because these will precipitate pseudotumor cerebri. Then these are the most severe type of acne. These also have most severe side effects, especially it causes diffuse interstitial skeletal hyperostosis. It causes acute interstitial skeletal hyperostosis. All these are the side effects of retinoids. So if you see the uses of retinoids are acne, squamous cell carcinoma, Harlequin type of ichthyosis, it causes lamellar ichthyosis, hidradenitis suppurativa, it causes rosacea, and also xeroderma pigmentosa, it causes xeroderma pigmentosa, neuroblastoma. It is used in xeroderma pigmentosa, neuroblastoma, genital warts, recalcitrant condyloma acuminata. So all these are the uses of oral retinoids. Then the third therapy which is available is hormonal therapy. In the hormonal therapy, we have OCPs are given in moderate to severe acne. Anti-androgenic progestins are also given, which include cyproterone acetate and drospirenone. These include cyproterone acetate and drospirenone are anti-androgenic progestins. Even adrenergic receptor blockers are also given. So if you see, these are the drugs. Then we also have some physical modalities of treatment, like we can do in the physical modalities of treatment, we can do aspiration of cystic lesions can be done, intralesional steroids can be given, especially in nodulocystic acne. Chemical peels can be given like salicylic acid and glycolic acid. In them we can do chemical peels and fillers. Dermabrasion can be done, and intense pulse light therapy can be given. Lasers and even photodynamic therapy is also done. So this is about the important treatment modalities for acne. Thank you for watching.